Every committee that starts on a search for a university principal is looking basically for God on a good day. Heather's name came up pretty early in the search committee, and I called her up and said who I was and what I was calling about, and we met in a grubby little cafe on Toronto Island Airport. When you're in this process, you're looking at a broad list of people, all of whom are fabulous people. Before you jump, you kind of cross your fingers and say, well, this is our call. We sure hope it's right.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, here on the threshold of becoming the 16th Principal of McGill University, I'm filled with the deepest admiration for what has taken place in these chambers and on these grounds, for the history of human achievement that constitutes McGill.
McGill is an interesting organization, very historic, but it's also an extremely tough organization, institution to have to manage.
It is extremely difficult with an organization that has inertia, and universities, like the CBC, are filled with inertia.
There are so many balls in the air that you have to play with. The government, fundraising, faculty, students, and this is not just on occasion, this is day in, day out.
She was a brilliant dean and an even more brilliant vice president, research and international relations. We knew when we lost her to McGill, McGill would be the great beneficiary, and everything that's happened over the past decade has vindicated that.
She's an interesting combination because she's tough, but she's also got an amazing warmth and compassion for people.
I have so often been floored by how she can, at seemingly a moment's notice, without warning, stand up in front of a huge crowd of people, and a huge crowd, often of very influential, important people, and be so clear and so articulate and have them, eating out of the palm of her hand.
Sa passion est communicative. C'est extraordinaire. Alors quand quelqu'un de sa stature, de son rang, dit à quel point que c'est important qu'on se préoccupe des plus démunis dans la société, je vais vous dire que les gens écoutent.
You feel you're with her, you feel a part of an experience, and on many occasions I would just sit there and say, I wish I could do that.
One of my favorite memories is we had an event and the diminished faculties band was playing, and Heather came up on stage and played tambourine with us. And that was great. She really is a rock and roll woman.
At her installation speech, she was very clear that she felt that this university was a jewel, but in many ways it was not, as she would put it was not hitting as hard as it could have hit.
We must increase the quality and innovation of our undergraduate education programs by achieving a better balance of class sizes and by giving our undergraduates more of the one thing for which there is no substitute, direct contact with brilliant professors.
Heather made it very clear from the moment she arrived that this was a university, a place where research is conducted, but it's also disseminated to the next generation of scholars and students.
Heather has an enormous passion for the students. She was able to articulate very clearly their needs and their desires, and she worked with us in this faculty to put together programs to improve student internships, increase the number of internships we have for students on this campus.
She has an incredibly busy agenda, but she still finds time to connect with students through her town halls.
She was the first principal in my memory, I've been here since '96, to actually organize these town halls where you have these open conversations so that she can actually talk to the people on the ground about what's going on, about everything that was on their minds.
Our principal has always championed a cause for, once you've gotten into McGill, no one should be refused simply because of lack of funding.
Student aid has increased dramatically under Heather. It's gone up by 200–400%.
I imagine, because of her vision and the mission that she had, it's probably the reason I'm here.
We must further grow our internationally respected cross-disciplinary research and teaching programs while preserving a deep strength in key core disciplines in the social sciences, the humanities, the life sciences, and the physical sciences and engineering.
As a researcher, and as a researcher in a field that many people consider quite esoteric, astrophysics, it's incredibly important to me to have someone like Heather, who so clearly understands the nature of research, the importance of basic research, you know, not just within the university, but to society at large.
I and my colleagues have, I believe, really felt at times quite personal connection because of her interest in the work that we do.
Je pense que McGill a une longue tradition de recherche. On a eu des prix Nobel il y a quelques dizaines d'années qui étaient basés à McGill, mais peut-être qu'il y avait un peu de stagnation dans les années 70, 80, 90. Donc avec l'arrivée d'Heather, ça a donné l'opportunité donc de vraiment focusser sur l'excellence en recherche dans plusieurs domaines, mais aussi important l'innovation sociale, donc aider nos concitoyens à Montréal et au Québec à faire les choses différemment en appliquant des nouveaux résultats de recherche.
It's critically important that we be able to convince our elected official on the importance of university research and the role that it plays in driving the economy. And Heather has done an absolutely fantastic job at that.
Avec le leadership de Heather Munroe-Blum puis sa dédication pour la recherche, je crois qu'avoir le centre de recherche sur le cancer Goodman, c'est un beau cadeau, en fait, je dirais, pour les générations futures.
We must renew and sustain our magnificent campuses while creating a modern infrastructure worthy of our mission, infrastructure that will enhance our teaching and scholarly work and create technological distinctiveness in key areas of academic strength.
So when I was first hired in as Associate Vice Principal, it was made very clear that I was walking into a job that involved the biggest construction project in the history of McGill.
The building campaigns we've done and the restoration of, classic buildings has really been quite remarkable in a time of major fiscal restraint.
What we've done is we've transformed the campus in a sense by going all the way from University Street all the way out to Peel Street. We have one continuous campus of pedestrian zones, a place where people can actually collect, walk, talk, and actually interact with each other.
You can just tell by the smile in her face how much she really loves the environment of the university. She finds that the work that we do is really an integral part of the community.
We have the sustainability policy that was passed, the sustainability office that was passed. We now have a compost on our campus. She was the one who said, what would the university look like? It could maybe, have no more parking on the Lower Campus.
Who would ever have dreamed that we would not have all these vehicles in our campus, which were there probably for 6 or 7 decades? Or who would have dreamed about the transformation of the park areas?
We undertake to provide regular reports on our progress, to aggressively publicize the many contributions that McGill makes to the social, economic, scientific, and cultural advancement of Montreal, Quebec, and Canada.
Je me souviens très bien de la première rencontre que j'ai eue avec Heather et on a évoqué des projets de collaboration. Et ce qui m'a tout de suite frappé, je me souviens de cette rencontre au moment où ça s'est terminé, c'était à quel point Mme Blum était déterminée. Elle savait exactement ce qu'elle voulait faire et on savait tous les deux, c'est des choses que McGill n'avait jamais fait avant. On parlait de faire un joint diploma, un diplôme conjoint qu'on a fait, qui s'appelle McGill HEC Montréal Executive MBA Program.
She's also continued to work to put McGill on the map in Quebec and really have McGill involved in Quebec.
Well known. I know when I travel around the world, everyone knows about McGill and they know about Heather. And she's made it her business to be involved in international organizations, to advance the reputation of McGill, and more than that, to advance the reputation of our research capacity in Canada through our universities.
They were having trouble down in Dominion Square where the cenotaph is, and they needed a good place. not only for the people taking part in it, but 3,000 odd spectators, and then about 20 cannons that were firing salutes, and it had to be downtown, and McGill answered all those needs. All that was required was McGill's consent, and she looked after that. Whenever she talked to you, you always had the impression that she was 101% attentive and willing to be of help.
As a means to realizing our academic aspiration and not an end, we must achieve an effective, stable base of support in core funding, a well-diversified resource base, and strong growth in our endowment in order to compete with the best worldwide in supporting our students and our faculty.
Heather always had a real appreciation for the importance of donors and the significance of this campaign for the future of McGill.
I would say it's the passion and commitment that Heather has that makes her such an extraordinary salesperson.
Fundraising is so difficult. It's probably one of the hardest things. Nobody wants to do it. And she's just a natural. She can go into a room and make everybody feel so special. She'll have a dinner, whether it's an intimate dinner or a large gathering, and she'll have something nice to say about innumerable people.
Well, Heather's very persuasive, and she certainly doesn't mind getting people to reach for the top because she reaches for the top.
You know, I remember attending some of the early campaign meetings when they decided they're going to try to hit 750 million. I said, holy mackerel, that's a big number. But I think by setting the bar high and maintaining the excellence of McGill, it's encouraged many donors to come forward and perhaps stretch beyond what they might have otherwise done.
Heather was able to reconnect with alumni perhaps who hadn't had much contact with the university over the years. And whether it was Paris or London or New York or wherever, Heather wasted no time in reestablishing that bridge.
Heather will be known as one of the great principals, in spite of the fact that she had to work with great restrictions, both financially and politically.
Non, je pense que l'université où elle est maintenant, après ce qu'Heather a fait dans le dernier 3 ans autour de SRI et autour de ses campagnes à Québec, je pense que c'est maintenant la responsabilité des alumni de continuer de prendre le relais puis d'amener ça jusqu'au bout. Et je pense que c'est impératif qu'on s'implique tous. Puis je pense que c'est la moindre chose qu'on puisse faire, c'est de donner à l'université puis de continuer dans la direction qu'elle imprimait.
Well, not only is Heather driven, but she's indefatigable. I mean, she does not stop. It's like the Energizer Bunny in some respects. She keeps going and going and going.
She is clearly seen as somebody who expects the highest standards of performance from those who work with her, around her, but she gives that same, by example.
Heather is famous for sending emails at all times of the day and night. Whenever a thought crosses her mind that one of us should be responding to, she immediately sends a BlackBerry message.
The emails at all hours of the night made one wonder. But you learned not to look at your emails before you went to bed.
She actually got carpal tunnel syndrome on her thumbs from all of the messages she was sending to everybody.
Heather, I think, has always been well aware of her priorities. And top has been Sid and Lenny. And she was available to both, but certainly to Sid as she was growing up, anytime during the day, 7/24.
Saturday is a fun day for us. We sleep in 8 o'clock maybe. We go out for breakfast, we read the papers together, we go for a walk, we just have fun. Last Saturday it was raining, we came back and we played cribbage and watched Parks and Rec, 3 episodes, and we just enjoyed each other. When she has that time, she fully relaxes and she's completely fun. Sunday morning, she gets up, we have breakfast, but then it's time to work. Sunday essentially is a work day for her, as well as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
My parents have known each other forever. They met in high school, and I feel like they've had a million lives together in this one life. And In some ways, they couldn't be more different. In other ways, I can't imagine better role models for a marriage in terms of them also finding time to spend together and staying connected and knowing what's going on in each other's lives, even if they both have very different things happening or if they're both traveling. So they really love each other.
We met in high school in grade 12 in Mr. Reed's history class. She walked into class 2 weeks late and John Kilcoyne, who was sitting beside me, whispered, "That's Heather Munroe, you'll really like her." And I did.
I've always grown up feeling like it doesn't matter who someone is or where they come from, everybody is an individual. My mom just always taught me that the most important thing is to be present and to listen. And if you're present and listening to the person you're talking to, you'll have a genuine connection.
When Heather first took on the job, she was quite moved by not just how many women and students, female students, came up to her and said, "We're so proud that a woman is principal of McGill, how can I be like you?" That's what they asked her. But that, she kind of expected that. What really moved her was how many immigrants came up to her and congratulated her because they saw this change in the tradition as being an opening through which they themselves can move to. Not that everybody's going to become principal of McGill, but they saw society changing once she arrived.
I think the best measurement of any leader is whether the institution is in better shape when they leave it than when they started. And there's no question, under Heather's leadership, McGill has blossomed. McGill's reputation, I would say, has seldom, if ever, been higher than it is today. We're recognized internationally in the international rankings. We're recognized nationally in the Maclean's rankings.
Whether it's dealing with issues in Quebec or issues in Ottawa or student issues or faculty issues or staff issues, Heather was there taking the lead, being fully engaged.
I think Heather Munroe-Blum will be remembered for her dance moves and especially the Rolling Stones cover band and her tambourine playing.
Her legacy is setting those conditions for us to launch into the next phase of this university, and very, very positive conditions at that.
If there's a home run in this particular game, I think we hit one back in 2002 when we decided on Heather.